Hey everybody, what's up? Welcome to my installation of the Whiteline rear lower control arms for all 2005 to 2014 Mustang GTs. In order to complete this install, you will need an 18mm socket, a 1/2-inch drive, ratcheting wrench, or 3/8, whichever you prefer. You can use a breaker bar and an 18mm socket to get the bolt loosened, and then finish it up with a smaller sized ratchet, but that is completely up to you. You will also need a jack stands, zip ties, a flathead screwdriver, and a torque wrench. Today, we are doing the lower control arms on my Mustang. I've already got the driver's side done. I'm gonna do the passenger side, make it a little easy. Show you guys what you need to do. You do need jack stands and a jack. You can absolutely do this without a lift, but axle shifting is definitely a pain in the. Okay, and I'm going to show you how to combat that. So when you have it jacked up, you're going to let it rest on the jack. You're going to put your jack stands up here, right about there, and let it sit, okay? Because you want this axle to come down as much as possible. We're going to get back to that a little later. That's just in case. We're going to start right up here. Sorry about that. I'm gonna start right up here. So inside this, there's this clip. And that clip is gonna hold, this is for your e-brake, okay? So when you pull this clip out, it's super easy. If you can't get it with your fingers, get a nice little screwdriver, flathead, obviously. And then what you're gonna do is right here, there's a little slit, nice, decent sized flathead will fit up in there. And sometimes you can wiggle it out just with your hands. When you do this, make sure your e-brake is off. Otherwise, you're going to be fighting this and fighting this and fighting this. And then you're going to realize, oh shoot, my e-brake was on. And we're going to come down here. Now, if you have not touched these yet, your factory parking brake lines go through here. Okay, that's from factory. That's why these are such. And you're just gonna route that up and out, and go ahead and just kind of leave it to the side. You don't gotta worry about it yet. And now we get to the fun part. So you need an 18mm, and I'm using a 1/2-inch drive to Matco. And the only reason I am is because I'm not strong. I'm not Johnny Bravo. I'm not Rambo. I'm a weak man, and I will say that with pride.
Yo guys, what's up?
Anyways, you're gonna get this guy in there, and you're gonna loosen these up. Go ahead and loosen these up. The real nice thing about these is there's actually lock nuts. If you can see that. Lock nuts on both sides. So you'll have this one facing you, that's towards the front of the car. On the other side, you'll have this one here, which is facing the inside. One thing I forgot to mention while filming this video is that the rear bolts on those stock control arms are actually Loctited, so it is going to take a bit of force to break those free. And then you'll have your locking nut here. This is if your car has never been touched, all right? And you won't really know until you get down there and look, so go ahead and do your research. I'm going to get these bolts off, and then I'll show you guys the next step. So I just finished up removing the stock control arm. And the front lock nut will usually stay in place, so you'll just have the bolt to pull out, and you won't be able to pull the top or the front part, I guess, if you want to call that, of the control arm down until the rear comes out. So if you can't, like, pull it down, it's you gotta take the whole thing out. And when you do that, make sure it doesn't drop on your arm. They're not heavy necessarily, but from a decent sized drop, it's gonna hurt. This bolt and the retaining nut are for the back. You can't use the front bolt for the rear. It will not fit. It will not work. It's too short. So this is the way to go. Keep them in their own, separate spots, just in case you do get it mixed up, so you don't get frustrated. Right now, I'm gonna show you guys the orientation. Damn. I gotta pay attention. They have on one side, this will be for your front bracket. And on this side, this will be for your rear. Now, it's going to go in the car like this. So you want this kind of flushed out piece or, you know, elongated, fat. You want that facing towards the axle, not out. And the reason being is it won't fit. So yeah, there's really only one way you can do it. So I'm gonna get this in. What I'm gonna do actually is I'm gonna do it the front one first. So after you have got this in here, you don't need to tighten it all the way. There's just a little bit of resistance right there, so I'm gonna use. And you want it to be able to freely move up and down, okay? But you do not want it to come out of this bracket up here, because it's gonna make it very, very, very easy for you. And I'm gonna show you why. So we're gonna come down here, and I'll show you. I actually can put you guys right up there at the hole. Now I'm gonna lift this up and maybe get it in there. So as you can see, at the current height, it doesn't line up. But we have a trick for that. And the reason that it doesn't is because this jack is actually supporting the rear axle a little bit, so that I can get the half-inch sock, or the half-inch ratchet down there, just to make it easier for myself. So I'm going to drop this down and let the jack stands take care of it. And after I've let the jack come down and let the frame support the car instead of the suspension support it, I like to make sure there's a little bit of a gap between the head of the jack and the rear diff. This is the part where you have to be your most patient. And, you know, I had the footage for this and what I was about to show you, but unfortunately I can't show you. What I can tell you, though, is you will have to play with your rear differential, meaning you might have to raise it a little bit, you might have to lower a little bit, but you'll see in the next clip that it does not have to be perfect on the side facing you. There's a trick around that. Right here, I got it lined up. Now, I know it looks like it ain't lined up, but what you're gonna do is you're gonna give pressure on the back, and you're gonna start to try to thread it with your hands. And eventually, it is going to catch, and it'll slide right through. And then you're good to go. And then, wow, that's awesome. Just gonna, okay, that's better. Good to go. Then what you're gonna do is, you wanna grab your lock nut, and it doesn't necessarily matter the way that you put these back in here. I like to do it factory spec, so that it's sitting, damn it, so that it's sitting up here. But I mean, you guys, you do you. It does not matter whatsoever. I don't think there's any specifications around it. So, you know, go ahead and get this guy in there, and you'll be good to go. I also should let you know, don't let this bolt thread through all the way without putting this up in here first, or not thread. Don't let this bolt slide through here all the way without putting this in here first, so that you can get it to stop. Anyways, I'm gonna get this somewhat ready to go, and then I'll show you the torque specs. So once we've got the rear part of the control arm up inside the bracket, you can go ahead and tighten that down more than you did with the front part of the arm and the front bracket. And after you've tightened this down a sizable amount, at least until there's pressure or tension, or it gets a little difficult, you can go ahead and do it for the front part. And the next part was the hardest part for me. These bolts get torqued to 130 pound-feet. So let's get to cranking away. All right, everybody. So now that this is nice and torqued down on both sides, I'll show you how to get your e-brake back together. All right, so on to the next part. After you've got these guys all nice and torqued down, this is where you start to reassemble your e-brake. And without this being done properly, you'll not have an e-brake that works. So as you can see on these control arms, unlike the factory, there is no hole for the e-brake line to go through. So you will have to get some zip ties. Make sure you leave a little bit of slack on both sides so that you don't tear up anything in your line. Now we're going to come over to the assembly, and as you can see, there's this stopper here. That's going to slide up on under there, This guy for now, I'm gonna leave him sitting right there. What you'll do is you'll get your nice clip. What this clip's gonna do is it's gonna slide between this metal part here and this part of this boot for your line. So it'll slide in there and it'll snap right on. You can use your fingers actually to separate these. They separate fairly easy. So go ahead and just, do that if you need to, but it's fairly straightforward. So on the passenger side for this, I actually had to have this side up taller and kind of let this just sit however it wants. It's secure. There is always going to be just the tiniest bit of play with this line, and you don't have to worry about that. What I would do is wherever it rests is where I would zip tie it, focus. So I'm going to zip tie it right here, get the wheels and tires back on, and see how she rides.